Hello everyone, welcome back to Bhaskar Blockchain Technology. I am Bhaskar Sharma and I have 10 plus years of experience in a MNC company. Currently I am working as a Azure Data Engineer. So guys, in today's video we will learn Azure Data Factory from the basics in a simple and practical way. Okay, so we will cover ADF architecture diagrams and ADF components, what are the different components, and many more things, some activities and all we'll see today. Okay, so if you are preparing for Azure Data Engineer interviews, DP 203 certification, so or you want to become a data engineer, so this video is for you. So without wasting any time, let's get started. So guys, you can see here, this is the architecture diagram here. So this is one of the important diagram. Okay, so there are actually many components, so we'll understand one by one. Okay, so before that guys, we should know what is ADF. Okay, so ADF is a Azure Data Factory is a cloud-based data integration and orchestration service provided by Microsoft Azure. Okay, it helps data engineer to collect data from different sources, transform it and lead it into a target systems. Okay, in simple words, ADF is like a data movement controller that manages the journey of data from source to destinations. Okay, just remember, this is a simple definitions. Okay, so I can show you an example here. Let's move to our dashboard. So Azure Data Factory, Azure Data Factory, okay, ADF. So in simple example, SQL Server. Suppose this is your source. Okay, from source we are ingesting data through ADF, Azure Data Factory. Okay, then storing into ADLS into Azure Data Lake Storage, ADLS Gen 2. Okay, next from ADLS we'll move to some other layer like a silver layer. We'll do some transformation. Okay, Databricks transformations. Here we'll do transformations. Databricks transformation. Okay, so from source we'll move ingest data through ADF to ADLS and 2. Here it will be a raw data. Okay, this data will do some transformations and all here using Databricks. Okay, then we'll move the aggregate data to Azure Synapse Analytics. Okay, this is the target system. Okay, this is the target system. So ADF mainly perform data ingestions. So ADF, what it perform? Mainly perform data ingestion. Next, data ingestions means moving data from source to destinations. Okay, moving data from source to destination. Then data transformations. Data transformations. Cleaning and modifying data. Okay, here we do all remove all the duplicates. We do clean the data. Okay, then data orchestration. Data orchestration means scheduling and managing workflows. Okay, so this is the architecture diagram. Okay, trigger, pipeline, activities, okay, integration, runtime, and this is the target systems. Okay, this is the simple diagram. So what are the different components of Azure Data Factory? Link services, dataset, pipeline, activity, trigger, and integration runtime. Okay, so we'll see one by one. So what is link services? Link services means what? connection to data source or destination. This is the purpose. Okay, so a link service is a connection information that allows ADF to connect with external data sources or compute services. Okay, so think link service as a connection string. For example, to connect SQL server, ADF needs server name, database name, authentication details, and username or password or managed identity. Okay, so this is what means to connect SQL server, ADF needs these are the things. Okay, so what are the types of link services? There are two types of link services. One is source link services, another is destination link services. So for source link services, we can see here just a minute. Source link services, LS means link services. Okay, so like example, SQL server, then Oracle, then MySQL, REST API, then Azure Blob Storage, then ADLS then Kafka. This is the source link services. What is the destination link services? So destination link services used for target system. Okay, example I can give Azure Synapse, then Azure SQL database. Okay, then data lake, then Databricks. Okay, so for example, if you want to copy data from SQL server to ADLS, okay, you create link services. Okay, link services 1. Okay, suppose link services 1, in link services 1, ls underscore SQL underscore server. Okay, so if you want to copy data from SQL server to ADLS, so you have to first create link services for SQL server. Okay, so this is the suppose link services for SQL server. Okay, and server is server like company database dot windows.net. Okay, then database is like sales db. Okay, so this is the I have created this one for link services for SQL server. And for target you have to create one more link services. Okay, so what will be the target link services to? Like ls ADLS, okay, underscore gen2. So this will be this is for target. Okay, storage account. Okay, so company lake. So ADF now knows how to connect it. Okay, if you create the link services, ADF knows how to connect it. Okay, so this is the link services. So what is the next point? Dataset. What is dataset? Purpose is represent the data inside the source and destinations. Okay. So what is dataset? A dataset represent the structure and location of the data that you want to use. Okay. It represent structure and location of the data that you want to use. So a link services tell what is my connections. A dataset tells what data should I access. Okay, these 2 points, remember these 2 points. Okay, very important. Link services tells where is my connections, and a dataset tells what data should I access. Okay, so this is important. So now I will give some link services versus dataset. Okay, we know the difference. We'll see the difference, something like link services link services versus dataset. Okay, so what is the difference between link services versus dataset? Okay, so link services, connection information. Just remember, link services is connection informations, and what is the dataset? Dataset is for data structure. Okay, link services connect to system, dataset points to data, it generally point out to data. So link services is the server details, and dataset is file or table details. Okay, so link services used for reusable connections, and dataset reusable data definitions. This is the basic difference, okay, between link service versus dataset. Just remember this point. So next is, what is pipeline? Workflow containing activities. So pipeline, what is the pipeline? A pipeline is a collection of activities that perform a data workflow. Okay, pipeline is a collection of activities that perform a data workflow. It is the main execution unit in ADF. Okay, so what is the pipeline components? Activities, parameter. Next slide we will see. Okay, this one, what is the components of pipeline? So we'll see in the next slide. So this slide you can see some copy activities. Okay, activities, variable, parameter. Okay, these are all the component of pipeline. Okay, triggers also there. Okay, so next is, what is activity? Activity means, what is the purpose? Perform a specific task. So activity is a single task performed inside a pipeline. Okay, what is activity? Activity is a single task performed inside a pipeline. For example, copy activity. Okay, so next slide I have mentioned here copy activity. What is the copy activity? So copy activity, most commonly used purpose is move data from source to destination. Okay, so next is trigger. So what is trigger? Schedule or start a pipeline. Main purpose of the trigger is schedules or starts a pipeline. So a trigger starts the pipeline execution. Okay, what is the trigger? Trigger starts the pipeline execution. Without a trigger, the pipeline will not run automatically. Okay, just remember, so without a trigger, the pipeline will not automatically run. Okay, so what are types of trigger? What are the different types of triggers? First is triggers. What are the types of trigger? Schedule trigger. Schedule trigger. So what is the schedule trigger? Runs at a fixed time. Okay, for example, every day at 2 AM. Okay, it runs at a fixed time. So next is event trigger. Event trigger or event based trigger. Okay, event trigger. So runs when an event occurs. That means when a file arrives in blob storage, so it will run. Okay. Next is tumbling window. So tumbling window used for time based processing. Okay, for example, process data every 15 minutes. Okay, so to process the data every 15 minutes, we use tumbling window trigger. Okay, so next is integration runtime. Okay, so guys, this is also one of the component in ADF. Okay, this is very important, integration runtime. So what is the purpose of integration runtime? Execute data movement and transformations. This is the purpose. So integration runtime, what is the integration runtime? Integration runtime is the compute infrastructure used by ADF to move data, execute activities, connect different environments. Okay, so types of integration runtime. So what are the different types of integration runtime? First is Azure integration runtime. Azure integration runtime is a cloud based. Okay, so used for Azure to Azure movement. Suppose if you want to move data from Azure to Azure, then we use Azure integration runtime. And next is self-hosted integration runtime. Okay, installed on your local server, used for on-premises data source. That means if your source is external source, okay, like SQL server, okay, to ADLS N2. If you want to move data from SQL server to ADLS N2, so this will be the, you have to use self-hosted integration runtime. Third is Azure SSIS integration runtime. Okay, so used to run existing SSIS packages in Azure. Okay, so guys, we have seen all these these are the components of ADF. Okay, this is very important, guys. Just remember this one. So next is, I already discussed with you what is the copy activities. Okay, so what does copy activity will do? Copy activity will copy the data from source to destinations. Just remember this point. Okay, so for example, CSV file. Okay, so if you want to move from source to destination, then you use copy activity. Okay, so then it will automatically move to destinations. Okay, so Azure SQL database supported sources like SQL, Oracle, SAP, SAP, Blob Storage, REST API, Excel. Okay, and supported destinations like SQL, ADLS, Azure Synapse, Blob, and Data Lake. Okay, so next is data flow. What is data flow? Data flow is used to transform data visually without writing codes. Okay, so it runs data flow, it runs on Spark cluster, okay, managed by Azure. Okay, we'll see in the practical so how that data flow works. Okay, we'll see in the practical session. So here common transformations like filter, sort, join, aggregation, derive column, conditional split, lookup, window, pivot, unpivot. Okay, these are some transformations. Next is execute pipeline. Okay, so execute pipeline is used to call one pipeline from another. Execute pipeline activity is very important. Okay, so execute pipeline is used to call one pipeline from another. Okay, just remember this one. Next is lookup activity. So lookup retrieves data from a file, table or query and makes it available to later activities. Okay, so we will use this activity. Okay, lookup activity also we will use. Okay, so next is if conditions. If conditions execute activities only if conditions evaluate to true. So execute activities only if a condition evaluates to true. Okay, next is switch activity. Switch executes different branches based on a value. Okay, then next is for each activity. Okay, for each activity, for each repeats an activity for each item in a collection. So what for each will do? For each repeats an activity for each item in a collection. Okay, so suppose for example there are 100 CSV file. Okay, file 1 copy, file 2 copy, like that, file 100. Okay, copy. So instead of creating 100 copy activities, so one for each loops through all files is enough. So next is until activity. What is until activity? So run activities repeatedly until a condition becomes true. Okay, just remember this one. So next is what is variable. So variable stores values during the pipeline executions. Okay, types like string, boolean, integer, array, etc. Okay, so variable stores values during the pipeline executions. Okay, so what is the parameter? Last is what is the parameter? Parameter allows pipeline, dataset and link services to accept input values. Okay, making them reusable. So parameter allows pipeline, dataset and link services to accept the input values and making them reusable. Okay, so just remember this one, very important this one. So for example, instead of hard coding customer.csv, okay, use this, we can write some parameter. Okay, so how to write the parameter? Like, so you can then run the same pipeline with just a minute, example. Instead of hard coding customer.csv, okay, so use is like use pipeline parameters dot file name. Okay, so you can then run the same pipeline with, you can then, if you write this one, no, you can run same pipeline with customer.csv. okay, customer.csv, then you can product.csv, you can run with any file. Okay, then sales.csv. okay, so without changing the pipeline logic. So what is the difference between variable and parameter? Okay, so variable can change during the execution and parameter fixed during a run. It is fixed, okay, not changing. Variable used for temporary values, parameter used for user input. Okay, so variables are mutable, parameters is immutable. Okay, just remember this one. So guys, I hope everything is covered as in these sessions. That's all for today's video. I hope this session is helped you understand the fundamental of Azure Data Factory. So if you found this video helpful, useful, please like, share and subscribe to Bhaskar Blockchain Technology. Don't forget to press the bell icon so you never miss upcoming videos in our data engineering full course. In this video we will dive deeper into ADF copy activity, dynamic pipelines and real-time some project implementations with hands-on example. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comment and I will be happy to help you. So thanks for watching guys. Have a great day and I will see you in the next video guys. Bye.